All right, welcome back to the channel. So Gervonta Tank Davis responds to Devin Haney's claims that he was whooping up on him in sparring, saying that he had to pull the punches on Devin Haney and he almost took the dude out. Let's talk about that, but something a little bit more substantive that is directly correlated to that issue. Let's talk about those things in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. So Gervonta Tank Davis is the top 130-pounder, financially speaking, in the world. And Gervonta Davis is Devin Haney is the WBC 135-pound champion. One weight class apart, but Gervonta had been in the weight class, and there's a lot of conversation going on between the two about what happened in a sparring session that took place, I believe, early in Devin Haney's career as a pro. Might have been late during the amateurs. But Devin Haney was on an interview recently, and he shared what happened. I had actually had his father on the channel a few months ago, and he had talked about it as well. And it was pretty much that people thought that Devin Haney was going to, that his father bet some money on Devin and Gervonta in what was called a doghouse session, where people were going to spar until it was over. And whoever stops fighting first is the loser. Something like that. And Gervonta Davis, according to what Bill Haney and Devin Haney said, pulled out, and Devin Haney's father won some money or was owed some money. And that's kind of the thing that was going on, right? And that's all fun and interesting. There's a lot of conversations going on in boxing about what goes on in sparring, and there's a sparring tape out there with Edgar Berlanga, the Puerto Rican 168-pound fighter, with him in the ring with Erickson Lubin, and Erickson Lubin looked like he's just handling the dude really easily. But then Erickson Lubin comes out and says, "Hey man, that's not, don't do him that bad. That you really don't see everything that's going on. The guy's got a lot of skill, but that ain't going to change the mind of the people that are seeing Erickson Lubin do whatever he wanted to do to Berlanga in that sparring session." Again, though, that doesn't mean that, as people mature, or if they may be actually working on something in a sparring session, you just don't know. So I'm not going to take a lot of it out of it. Like, even where Gervonta Davis is saying that he could have knocked out, or at least he's implying that he could have knocked out Devin Haney, and he almost had that boy out of there, that type of thing. Let's see what happens in an actual fight. Now, do I believe that these guys are going to actually fight? Absolutely not. Not a chance. Floyd Mayweather Jr., who's associated with both of them, say that, hey, man, these guys are never going to fight. Devin Haney is going to be at 140, 147. Gervonta Davis is going to be at 130, 135. That's just where Gervonta Davis is going to be, and that's where Devin Haney is going to be, and these guys more than likely are never going to meet in the ring. That doesn't mean, though, that we can't learn a lesson out of this whole thing, because I really do believe that we can. Because as I was sitting here, and if you've not noticed, usually I wouldn't do this type of video, just because I don't, these guys are never going to fight, right? And just kind of want to stay away from drama sometimes. But when I was listening to this and seeing what was going on, I just happened to be on my Twitter, and I got a retweet from the editor of Ring Magazine. And the guy's name is Dougie Fisher. Dougie Fisher, I don't think very highly of at all. I don't think he's a very good editor. I don't think that Ring Magazine is very good. It's a very good publication. I don't find their writers very intriguing. I never pay attention to it, other than when they put out a title, when they put out a cover that looks kind of cool. It's just a passe, antiquated method of talking about boxing. It's just not as good as getting on YouTube and talking to somebody in real time in a live stream, or watching their videos that come out as the news happens. It's just that Ring Magazine's just a little bit behind the times, right? But anyway, I'm sure back in the day that they did some good for somebody. There's people out there that collect those magazines. But he retweeted something. If you can tell that I'm irritated, I am. Because I am now being trolled by the editor of Ring Magazine, which should tell you exactly how far they have fallen. But what the trolling was about, I think, is relevant to Gervonta Davis and Devin Haney. And the relevant point is this, that they need to fight each other. Okay? Like, the boxers, American fighters, need to really push themselves to fight each other and push the networks to make the fights between each other. Talk about fighting each other, because those are the things that really do create a lot of interest with boxing fans in America. I know it's a very hard thing I'm not going to call them dumb, because they work for somebody else, right? And they're taking orders, to realize that if you actually spend your time talking about the fighters that the people that would buy your materials are interested in, then you may do well. If you don't, you won't. But then again, Ring Magazine is owned solely, I do believe, by Oscar De La Hoya, so they're not really interested in being, constructive or good or anything like that. They're just interested in taking the paychecks from Oscar De La Hoya and seeing how long it goes out. It must be. Because when you say something like, when you ridicule somebody for saying that Danny Garcia is a Hall of Fame candidate, there's something wrong with that picture. When I had a live stream, and I got a lot of trolls. I did a live stream. And in a live stream, I was talking about why I thought Errol Spence Jr. should be Fighter of the Year, when these idiots over at Ring Magazine have Teofimo Lopez and a blatant cheater in Tyson Fury. Okay? And I'm telling you, all of y'all that I even act halfway friendly with to keep acting like this man didn't cheat, you're just full of it. And you really do need to stop, because you're full of it at this point. But the reason I think this was important is because this is an American, Dougie Fisher, right? Who's the editor of an American magazine, at least it was founded in America, Ring Magazine, right? And talking about an American fighter, Danny Garcia, and he acts as if it's ridiculous to say that he even deserves a vote for the Hall of Fame. If Danny Garcia doesn't even deserve to be nominated for the Hall of Fame, dude, Vinny Pazienza is nominated for the Hall of Fame. Lucia Riker got in the Hall of Fame. Christy Martin got in the Hall of Fame. Dan Goosen got in the Hall of Fame. They're in it. They're in it. And you know what they say? Well, that's the women, and that's a non-participant. No, I don't care if he's in the Hall of Fame. You're telling me Danny Garcia, based on his career, does not deserve to be there. Even though doesn't deserve to be there, doesn't even deserve to get a vote and considered to be in there. Because I didn't say Danny Garcia is a Hall of Famer. Danny Garcia is not even retired yet. How could he possibly be a Hall of Famer? He's still fighting. But the idea that he wouldn't even get a nomination, that the editor of Ring Magazine thinks it's funny that I would say that he should even be nominated for the Hall of Fame? This is your future in American boxing. A organization that is run by people that have no appreciation whatsoever for American fighting at all. And you cannot tell me that they do. Keep looking at how they treat the American fighters. You have to do dang near twice as much to get the credit. And it's just true. Look at how Ring Magazine and the Boxing Writers Association of America treated Alexander Usyk when he was the undisputed, and then when he got the undisputed title, and how they treated Terrence Crawford. Completely different. Completely different. One Fighter of the Year. The other one, oh, no. We don't like your level of competition when you won all 4 belts. Like they even know the names of the competition that Usyk won to get those same belts. That's why this thing about Gervonta Davis and Devin Haney is important. Because if you've not noticed over the last year and a half, that's how these kids are actually generating interest for themselves. Because they are doing what the media refuse to do, which is promote themselves. Start silly arguments, have silly conversations that people love to have. What happened to who in sparring, who talked to whose girlfriend, all of that type of stuff that the boxers themselves have to do, because the established media like ESPN and Ring Magazine refuse to give you your just due. And they will continue to refuse to give you your just due, because they are not paid to give you your just due. because Bob Arum, who is responsible for their access, and in the case of Ring Magazine, Oscar De La Hoya, who's literally responsible for their salaries, is not going to allow them to give you your just due. You are going to have to choose between going to the PBC and making good money and having everybody act like you're broke, right? Or go to over there to ESPN and DAZN and have everybody think that you're making a ton of money while you're really broke. Or at least that's Top Rank. DAZN may be a mixture of the two. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. Yeah, I don't really care about who did what in sparring because neither one of these guys are going to knock each other out. But I do care about neither one of them are going to fight each other. But I do care that we see as an example how these fighters have to promote themselves and how much interest on conversations they can generate. And it has to make you wonder, why doesn't the boxing media, do the same thing? Why are they insistent on spending so much time and energy in the American media on fighters in Japan? I don't get it. I enjoy the fighters in Japan, but man, Chris Colbert is right there in New Jersey, and he's way better than the dudes that you keep telling me about over there. But that's my take on the matter. Feel free to continue to watch 108-pound guys and celebrate Juan Carlos Estrada and a whole bunch of other people that you don't ever really watch, and ignore the great talent that lives in the neighborhood right next to yours. Anyway, at least that's how I see it. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.